Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Loschke, and I'll be your moderator this evening. We'd like to welcome those of you in the chamber offices this evening, those of you viewing at home, and especially our candidates. Tonight's candidate forum is hosted by the Oakdale Chamber of Commerce. The purpose is for the membership and the Oakdale community to understand each candidate's opinion on business and economic development issues that influence and impact the city of Oakdale. Our format this evening: this will be a forum. Each candidate will have an allotted time to answer each question, and then it moves to the next candidate to answer. There will not be time for rebuttals. The opening statements will be 2 minutes. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer the 4 prepared questions. If time allows, we will ask a 5th prepared question and allow 3 minutes for closing. We will start with the candidates for the 4-year term and then continue with the candidates for the 2-year term. Our timer will hold up a flag at the 1-minute mark, again at 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and finally when your time is complete. You will be allowed to finish your sentence. We ask that you respect others and complete your responses in the time allotted. I'm proud to introduce our candidates this evening for City Council for the City of Oakdale, California. In order of alphabet: Mr. Tom Dunlop, incumbent; Ramona Howard; J.R. McCarty; Kathy Morgan; and Don P.
There is a bio that is in the program, but I'd like to go over some of those issues that my degree is in psychology. Graduated
and been involved in the community in multi-levels the last few years. Of course, the last 7 years I've been on the council, and I stand behind my record here in the council for business.
Reports. As of this time, the city is now caught up with those treasury reports, so I have fulfilled my goal in completing that.
I really do love living here. Sorry. I would like to start off by saying that I'm not a politician. Make a difference. It can't be from one person. It has to be all of us. And like JR, I have many skills that I think that can be beneficial to me running and holding this office. I don't view the seat as a status symbol. I am not afraid to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. And I think that, I view the seat as an opportunity to utilize my leadership skills that I have. I've been in a leadership role pretty much my entire adult life, managing anywhere as few as 5 people up to 200 to 300 people. And communication is key. There are some hard decisions that we have to make, but more importantly, we have to give people the opportunity to step up and make a difference. We can't hold these people down anymore. Again, we as a community have to solve these problems. My name is Ramona Howard, and I'm running for the 4-year seat of the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. And Kathy Morgan.
Good evening. Very happy to be here. As many of you know, this will be the 3rd term that I'm running for. And I weighed this very heavily. I had hoped, because I am not a career politician and have no aspirations to do anything more than serve my community, to not run another term. But I really felt with the economy, how hard it's hit Oakdale, how hard it's hit our country and our state, that experience is going to be a key factor in the decision making that needs to take place in the next 2 to 3, 4 years. My family and I have been in Oakdale for almost 25 years. We raised both our children here. I love this community. We chose it because of the feeling we all talk about, that small town atmosphere, that the camaraderie, the feelings of serving a community and how important that is. When we read the Oakdale Leader, when we picked up the first time, that's when we knew this was a city out of all the communities in the whole valley that we were going to choose to live in. I've served prior to this in the schools with my children in different capacities, ending with academic booster president for the Oakdale High School. And then I looked for something else and was appointed to the Parks and Rec Commission for 7 years. That gave me a little experience when I was elected to the City Council. There are some hard decisions that have to be made, but I believe in this community. I believe in its citizens and the employees who work for it and how much they care. And I care as well, and I hope that I'm given the opportunity to serve hopefully one last term. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Candidates, we're going to move to question number 1. Here's a frequently heard statement. The City of Oakdale's fees, permits, and general entitlement requirements, coupled with those of Stanislaus County, discourage business development in Oakdale. Would you agree or disagree with this statement, and why? We're going to start with Ramona Howard.
I would agree, however, we're certainly not unique to this problem. And I recently had a relative that just opened a Philly cheesesteak business in an existing Quiznos shop. And I'm telling you, these people should win the prize for the hoops they had to jump through. And what I hope to do is take their experience and have that not happen to us here. So it's not unique to Oakdale and Stanislaus County. This is happening all over, and normally because of budget cuts and red tape. The problem is we have the inability to work with our developers, our planners, our builders, and our business owners to help them through the process. You have to remember, time is money to these people, and the more time that we spend from them opening their operation, it's costing them money. So that's what we need to work on. People don't mind paying a fair price. Some of this makes no sense. They don't like being drug out. Their goal is to get the project done as quickly as possible so they can move on to the next project. So that's what we need to work on. Yes, it's important that we look at our fees.
To open a business. We have ordinances that limit business owners that want to come into Oakdale. We need to look at these ordinances and give new business owners and current business owners a break. We can't attract new businesses here to Oakdale with the kind of ordinances that we have right now. So Oakdale needs to become more business friendly. My sister-in-law tried to opened a hair salon here a few years ago. And to get the permits and the license and just to get her business started, it took her months and months to get this. We should be more business friendly. We should show people that Oakdale wants business here. It helps all of us in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Peterson.
Thank you. You know, I am a developer. That's kind of what we did. We built buildings, assisted living communities, and I've had the opportunity to work with many development departments throughout the valley. You know, the issues that we face today, I don't believe have anything to do with exorbitant rules or fees. If businesses thought that there was a market here, they would find a way to build here. When we were at the height of the economic boom in California, fees got out of hand, you know, in terms of looking at what was a fair price for developers. You know, some cities, and I don't think Oakdale is one of them, looked at development fees, plan check fees, capital facility fees as a way to make a profit. And in those days, people were paying it, and those days were just 3 years ago. People paid them because they thought they could build and they could get that back through selling their product and services to people. Times have changed. What we have to do is look at, I think, elsewhere, externally, about what businesses should be developed. And we're going to get to that question a little bit later. What business would be attracted here? I think that we have to remain mindful, and we need to know that our job in planning is to help developers and businesses be successful, but they need to pay their fair share. So what's fair share? Fair share means that they need to pay for the cost of the infrastructure that they're going to use when they come into the city. And it's a little bit more complicated than that, because there are also issues like education. How much should we contribute as developers to schools and parks and things that aren't specifically tied to it? But there has to be reason, logic, and I believe that that's not that far out of reach. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Morgan.
Basically, I think what we need to do is to streamline the process as much as possible. I do think the direction the council's been trying to go is to bring business to Oakdale, but these times make it difficult. And I've been in a business, I have worked for a wonderful business that failed because of the economy right now in construction. It's a tough time to have a business, to start a business. I do believe that we're looking at this more closely because we need the revenues. We need the sales tax generation from these businesses. But businesses don't come unless there are rooftops and to support them. Most businesses that we would like to have come into Oakdale, they have done the studies. They have a whole department that looks into the feasibility of bringing a business to any particular city or town based on a number of criteria. What we probably should do, and I see this happening in the future, is to approach business more often and to offer the reasons why our city would be a good fit for that business, and to work with them through the process of trying to see if we can fit that business into this area. And so that's the direction I'm thinking. And we have to make sure that, well, we've been actually on the council looking at and have lowered some of the fees right now until our general plan comes out. And then we're going to see that everything's going to be equitable in the future. It's really about communication with the businesses and all of us working together to bring prosperity back into Oakdale. And it's going to be a long process, but a worthwhile process.
Thank you. Tom Dunlop.
Yes, I do believe that city government is a hindrance to business. Our regulations are a hindrance to business. It was one of the number one things when I first ran for council that annoyed me as a business person trying to start a business out in the county. And they don't. It's hard to get the same answer twice, and it's hard to get someone to say, "I want to do this," not to tell you, "No, you can't do that there," or "You can't do that much of this." It's always been an issue. I still think it is an issue in Oakdale, although we made strides to improve it. I believe the only way we have to look at this as a city is we have to kind of peel back that onion. There's one layer of government to city, and then we got another layer of governments to county, another layer of governments to state. It's a very complex issue, not easily solved, as I've found out through personal experience. But it can be done. We have a general plan coming up. That is going to be an opportunity for us to really look at many of the rules that restrict business. I believe that every business should have equal entitlement in the community. I'm not here as a council member to say one business is better than another. So my goal, if reelected, would be continue working on making this a business-friendly community by removing the cost, which we've done a number of times already here in Oakdale in the last 3 to 5 years, and also removing the regulation that keeps people from doing business. And I've seen it myself, I personally dealt with it myself. And if we move some of those things out of the way, we can start filling empty businesses, start building new businesses, and be part of what will solve the problem here locally. But at the end of the day, it's still a state issue, and that we have to work with the state to solve it.
Thank you. Candidates will move to question number 2. On August 12th, 2012, the Wall Street Journal reported that small communities such as Sonora, California, had seen decreases in unemployment due to renewed timber interests. Given existing resources available in Oakdale, which industry would you pursue to increase local non-cyclical employment? Please explain your course of action and where you would recommend such expansion be located. We'll start with candidate J.R. McCarty.
First of all, I had to look up this article because some of the wording was a little confusing to me because, but I believe that the industrial industry is what Oakdale needs. It would bring a lot of jobs to Oakdale, for Oakdale. And industrial jobs are attracted to the railroad. And we have that coming through to Oakdale that attracts businesses. So a fine example of industrial jobs that we have missed out on, Blue Diamond, Amazon, those have gone to other towns because Oakdale didn't pursue them. And as a councilman, as a council person, you had to go out there and pursue companies to come to Oakdale. There's a lot of industrial land out there that we can offer companies to come in and take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to candidate Ramona Howard.
I actually addressed some of this in another question, so I'm going to move on to some things that aren't specific to this. Opportunities everywhere. And the first thing that we have to remember is we have to be aware of it everywhere we go. And just a quick little story was, this was the first thing I learned when I got into business about 15 years ago. I learned really quickly that the best deals came from the least past that, it's about the people, it's about the ethics, and it's about treating people right. And it's also remembering that you're not going to land every thing that you go after. But if you go after 100, you might get 10. But more importantly, they're going to remember you. You have to be rememberable. So when an opportunity does come up, they think, you know what, there was that small town that this would be perfect. Thank you.
Kathy Morgan.
One of the things I think we need to do is to make sure we have the correct staff to be able to address all the questions that are going to come up with moving a business into Oakdale. And that's one of the things that, the council is looking at for the future, is to have staff with all the right knowledge and experience and staff that's going to know Oakdale. And I know it's important to bring jobs into Oakdale, and bringing industry into Oakdale is part of that. And I think the industry we need to focus on is the new industries. As I was reading in a paper a couple days ago, the big top new industries are solar, anything to do with the computer field, anything that's, and customer service type industries. The company I work for employs 50, 60 people, and I would love to find a place in Oakdale for them to come to, but we don't have right now in place a way to make that, to finesse that, to kind of make that happen. And I would like to see in the future that we showcase all of the great qualities that Oakdale has to invite business, to bring those jobs so that those people can live in our community, be part of our community, spend in our community. We have a hospital. What a great resource. I disagree that we have a high crime rate. I think we have a pretty good, crime is bad no matter what, but we have a lower crime rate than most communities our size because we have an excellent police department. And we have great public safety in this community. There are a lot of great things. We're surrounded by agriculture. And one of the things I think is cool is, and I know Ramona's done a lot of work in this, is really getting tourism going more in Oakdale. And there's lots of ways to do that as well. So focus on our strengths and all the great things we have around us, and we can invite great business into Oakdale and help make it succeed.
Tom Dunlop.
Well, if you looked at the article, I know many of you haven't had a chance, a Wall Street Journal blog article talking about non-cyclical employment. I think one of the principles, I want to speak about principles. One of the principles I have is I don't think government should be picking the winners and losers when it comes to business. I think the best solution is to get out of the way. So there's a freedom of thought, freedom of expression of what we can do as a business. Myself, I've started 2 businesses under the umbrella of what I currently manage, and it was done because it wasn't being done. So what we need to do is get government out of the way. We currently have a South industrial area that's been annexed 4 years ago. It's there, it's ready to go, and the keys to bringing Oakdale back to the forefront is transportation. We locked from 99. Our transportation is hubbed into one spot in the town. It restricts. I run a you don't see me participating in that because of business. It goes right through the middle of my facility. But that being said, we need that transportation. We need to, in this general plan, review the standards for industrial. Currently, some areas of industrial have 60-inch sidewalks. Some areas have 60-foot easements of landscaping. Some have Oakdale, not competitive in comparison to Turlock or some other places. We need to take time. We need to get the staff back and find some way to pay that staff to go through these regulations and use some common sense and back up. Thank you.
Don Peterson.
Thank you. I agree with much of what Tom has just said. I do think there are some neat ideas that can be pursued. One of the things that I don't think we should do is look at this as some sort of silver bullet, to try to get an industry in here If we started today, it's going to take 2 years to 3 years before that materializes, before they're going to start contributing to taxes and fees. Definitely, in my closing statements, I'm going to address also the issue that Kathy brought up about having appropriate staff on board to be able to take care of these developments, proposed developments, if they came forward. But I would like to throw out one idea, and that is seniors housing. That's my field, but a different kind of seniors housing. In the city of Manteca, in the worst of the financial crises, about 80% of the homes that were being sold in Manteca were in the Del Webb community. That business continued to go right on through. While they lowered prices, it continued to be successful. It brings in new construction. Service providers follow the provision of seniors housing. Doctors, medical groups, pharmacies, all come in, and people look at where those types of developments are happening, and they start planning their developments on those kinds of senior housing projects. So with the city making it easy for those developers to come in here, that would be one recommendation. The other one is, I see the young people sitting at the table here, is for the county to use the funds that it has available to help people incubate new businesses sponsored by younger people. I've been there, bought it, built the company, sold it. We need to start looking further ahead, and these are the people that are going to take us to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We'll move to our third question. What direction would you like the city to take to attract new businesses? And our first candidate is Ramona Howard.
This will probably be no secret to everybody. High-speed internet. This is pretty much a must for any serious company these days, especially information and creative-based ones. And I believe Oakdale has many aspects that both of these type of businesses find appealing. We have good schools, we're a quaint community, we have friendly people, we're close to a lot of outdoor activities, which you wouldn't associate with nerds, but trust me, they are. We're close, but we're not too close to the big city. We have an airport, and the cost of living is perfect. The cool thing is these type of operations require very little footprint. Most of the stuff they ship is via the internet. And these businesses are, like I said, creative. It could be a small movie studio. It could be an internet-based company. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Although we shouldn't stop going after industrial manufacturing type businesses, we have to be realistic. When it comes to those, we're competing with every other city in the area. We don't have the one major thing they need, a highway, thank God. However, with the bypass arriving, it's going to arrive. We very much need to be planning now, and we need to solicit for those businesses now because, like Don says, it takes time to do this. We have another immediate area we can focus on, though, however, and that's green technology. Again, it's about seeing the possibilities. If Oakdale were to jump on this now, we could tap into something that could be it's not a huge thing right now, but electric cars are the future. And every single one of them passing through here to, or from the Bay Area to Yosemite, guess what? It's stopping Oakdale.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Tom Dunlop?
Well, again, I think the answer is almost the same. We need to get out of the way. The city needs to get out of the way of people expressing their desire to be entrepreneurs and have businesses. Keep our fees low. We need to get our development law in order where restricted from doing some activities in the community. And, you know, it's we need to get rid of that as best we can. And that's some of the answers to really get business going in Oakdale.
Kathy Morgan.
Well, the first thing we need to do is eliminate, I couldn't have said it better, but the two of you were very eloquent in your answers. I kind of wanted to say ditto. But we need to eliminate unnecessary regulations. I've seen building trying to come in. Now, this isn't business, but we have too many restrictions, locate in the same town they want to raise their families, and they want their employees to raise their families. And we have an advantage that a lot of cities do not. We have a great community with a lot, as Ramona said, Thomas said, we're poised for the future with the North County corridor coming in our industrial area. We're poised for the future with commercial in our East-West Pacific plan on the other side of town. We've got commercial on the west end of town. We are preparing for the future, and it's a future where business is going to want to come. We have to help make it happen. And we've got, like I said, the hospital, the airport, so many things, great schools, and a great community. And we just need to be that business-friendly community in the future. And I believe we can. And I believe that's the direction that the community wants us to go, and that we as a council, as we serve that community, need to make happen.
J.R. McCarty.
I sit here and I listen to all the answers, and they're all great, but why haven't we done this in the last 8 years? The ordinances have been there. We haven't pursued companies. We haven't given them the breaks, fix the ordinances for companies to come to Oakdale. So we could sit here and talk about wanting to do it, but unless we do it, companies aren't coming to Oakdale. Whether it's a hairdresser, whether it's industrial, whether it's green cars, Oakdale. I say let's get business friendly and let's bring some jobs to Oakdale. Thank you.
And Don Peterson.
Thank you. Gosh, I'm kind of the new guy on the block here, and I find myself in a position to almost defend the city. My position on this is that there's been a lot going on. We've got some bigger issues other than the problems that the planning department. Are there problems there? Of course there are. And we need to, I think, take this time, as soon as the new council is formed, to get those staff positions agreeing with Kathy, to look at those things. And right now, I don't think there's anyone running for office or holding current office that would go through and make those changes if it meant getting a new business to coming to this community. I don't think those are the long-term problems. Somebody needs to do it and approve, and that's starting to happen. The people that I still know in the development business have site people out looking for sites to build new construction projects. Okay, it's not happening yet, but it's coming. The money and REITs, real estate REITs, are starting to be assembled for those gates to break loose. When that happens, we need to be ready. And so the next 2 years, especially the next 2 years, is going to be critical to get the staff in place to get this thing ready for when the gates, the floodgates do break.
Seem to be in excellent shape, despite the fact we were in the second year of a deep recession. Now, late in 2012, the city cannot meet its financial obligations, recently having to make only a partial payment on its bond debt for the city's new sewer system. What action will you take to restore Oakdale's strong financial position? We'll start first with Tom Dunlop.
Oh, goody. this has been mentioned before here tonight, the California economy has been in tough shape. And for better or worse, Oakdale included, cities did like many businesses do. When you start getting in trouble, you start moving money around trying to keep the boat afloat. And I think that masked some of the problems for a while because, you know, no one on the council wanted to lay people off. No one wanted to lay off city employees. You know, we're not looking to do that. And so I think we could have done things different in hindsight. Hindsight's always 20/20. But those did have a tendency to mask some of the issues. And I think the council itself did not understand or had the knowledge of exactly how deep some of these things were done, because this is a policy group. We make policy. We hopefully have very good staff to make things work. And that's like any other business that gets in trouble, sooner or later you run out of the shell game. You run out of the ability to move money around, and you have to deal with the fact you have to lay off people. You have to do things to right the ship. You may have to stop producing, or in the city's case, stop giving service. And there was a thought on this council, and rightfully so in history, that these things don't last very long. They're 1, 2, 3 years. Well, I hate to tell you, I still don't believe anybody that talks on the TV or on the radio. I think this is just as bad as the Great Depression. At least here in
dollars was what was contracted out. Total payment $93,000, over double. Useless spending. Okay. Then we have 3 consultants that we pay for to do one man's job, a city manager's job. We need to hire a city manager to run the city. One has a vested interest in Oakdale, one that knows Oakdale, one that will be Oakdale. Thank you.
Ramona Howard.
First of all, 3 years ago, we were not in great financial shape. 5 years ago, we were not in great financial shape. Our tax dollars, both sales and property tax, were in a steep decline during that time. We all know why. But spending was still exceeding our revenue, causing our reserves to be depleted. I mean, this is all public knowledge. There were some major decisions made during that time that affected us then and will probably affect us for many years to come. One of those was voting to go towards the enhanced retirement system. This was a big mistake for us, because if you would have been paying attention to what was happening to the economy and where we were at with our spending, you would have known we would have never been able to afford that. Now we're stuck. What does this mean? It means the city was left dealing with the funding for a retirement system that we couldn't afford. In my opinion, that's a bad decision. Second, the sewer and water. For the past 10 years, many people have been complaining about this. Something was wrong. Something needed to be done, yet nobody was doing anything. And this has been going on for about 10 years. I've learned that that sewer account was the only difference is starting to come to light. Now, the problems can't be pointed towards one person or a council or this problem, because I think we honestly do all love the city and we want it to be successful.
Thank you, Ms. Howard.
Thank you.
Don Peterson.
Thank you. Well, I would agree that 3 years ago that the city was not in good financial shape for the same reasons Ramona mentioned. Property tax values were plummeting. People should have known. But you know what? Even at that point in time, in mid-2007, I was involved in opening a new $18 million building. And I was telling my investors in July of 2007 that something was happening to our pre-sales. Housing froze. People weren't getting a discount on their house. They couldn't sell it. They couldn't sell it. They couldn't move into it. My investors said, well, fire your marketing directors. They're just not doing their job. I didn't. Because none of us had ever seen anything like what we have lived through. City governments are at the tail end of that dog being wagged, and they're the last ones to hit it. That's why in my opening statement I said I've been through this before. Now, we have a tough road ahead of us because it isn't going to get better anytime soon, I don't believe. And so, you know, I think that answers a little bit about
middle of the Great Recession. I agree, it almost feels like a depression, and none of us anticipated or felt that. I've been through this before, we've all been through this before. None of us anticipated it would go this long and hit this hard. And I think, honestly, that we're doing really well for a small city. Yes, there are areas we need to look at more carefully, and it is right, we didn't want to cut public safety, we didn't want to eliminate any. These are lessons learned. We all learn them through life. You know, I wish we didn't have to learn them the hard way, but we learn and we don't make the same mistakes. That's the
Thank you. Don Peterson.
Well, let's see. The last major one was a Mustang Bullet. Steve McQueen. And of course, but I will add that merchants have a responsibility as well, that pricing still needs to be competitive and they need to be open when it's convenient for me to shop. And if they'll do that, I'll support them anytime I can.
Thank you. Kathy Morgan.
Well, I found one of the reasons I love to shop in Oakdale is generally you get great customer service because it's a small town. And I too love Ace Hardware. My husband lives down there. You know, we have the little rewards thing, and he always gets checks because he spends lots of money down there. Our last big purchase was shopping in Oakdale. We bought a Chevy Equinox from Steve Chevrolet a while back, and then we had a loss of employment, so we had to sell it, which was unfortunate. We had bought Dodge trucks from the Dodge dealer when it was here, and my hardware store, the gas station, so I support Oakdale, yeah, because I love Oakdale. And I know where the money goes.
McCarty.
All right, the last major purchase I've done is my campaign signs here in Oakdale. If I couldn't use Oakdale, I couldn't support Oakdale. So I felt
And I feel pretty comfortable that with the oversight committee in place, that money is going to get put to use where it said it was going to get put to use, and the leftover money is going to help the city do some things development and put it where it can make the most sense in the short term, because it's going to be gone in about 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We are once again on time, and we'll move to
through it. Was promised and sold for life safety issues, and that should be the priority, life safety and senior services. I think we need to do our best to keep the commitments to why that, how that was sold, and I think Oakdale's to be commended for that, for passing it. I think that it's imperative. I don't know if you've seen your charter, organizational chart for the city of Oakdale, but we don't have a community development director on a full-time permanent basis. The city manager is in an interim position. We have really no fire chief because that's on a contracted basis administration, and we're looking, I understand, at the possibilities of consolidating some of those efforts, and if it makes sense, that's great. We have no public services director. Now, I'd like to close by saying there's been objection to privatizing public works and that sort of thing, but I do believe that the council has a responsibility in times like this to pursue any cost-saving measure possible. And if it doesn't make sense, then you don't do it, but it doesn't mean you can't at least look at it. I think that I made the decision to run for this office after looking, among other things, at the webpage for the City Council, for the City of Oakdale. And it said basically that its core values were honesty and integrity, accountability, two-way communication, fiscal responsibility, exceptional customer service, being innovative and solution-oriented, teamwork and collaboration. If Oakdale and the council can remain true to those core values, you know, I think we're going to be just fine. Now, I believe that I am uniquely qualified to assist in that and provide the leadership under these core values to help get us through this. And for that reason, I respectfully ask for your vote and ask that you ask your friends to vote for Don Peterson for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Tom Dunlop.
Well, I'd like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to be here today and hear all of us with our ideas in this limited forum. I've been here working tirelessly for the businesses of Oakdale for now 7 years. And I have the advantage or disadvantage to have dealt with government, whether county or city, and have been a party to bringing like Mid-Valley Foods and dealing with other business issues in this community, actually seeing how it works. I'm committed still today to working through that process and making the changes necessary. Some of the people new here that are running haven't had that opportunity to actually work with someone telling you, no, you can't do that, Tom. You know, we can't do that. That state law doesn't allow that. No, Tom, the county's raising their fees $7 a square foot. You know, it's an ongoing issue here, and it's really sad in the state of California when other states like Utah, Texas, Wyoming, five or six permits currently in the state of California to raise cattle, and it's a difficult environment for a business. And Oakdale needs to be part of the solution and be getting what we can. Dollars are spent right. It's been difficult. There's always, it seems to be an issue that we have to deal with at the council, whether reporting what kind of records we're getting, where the money's being spent, cost overruns. There's always something in a city. It's very difficult to run a city. The city is actually a $30 million budget. There's all kinds of different funds involved. I know I mentioned tonight about a sewer project, which comes out of the sewer funds. And we have funds for recreation. We have funds for community development. We have CFF, CFDs, all kinds of different funds that the council has to manage. And it's so very important as a community that we begin doing a better job of communicating what all these little acronyms are and what all these funds are and how they function. These difficult times have made a situation where we have to do that. And I'm committed to doing that. And I believe my record stands on its own, being pro-business, pro-making this community the best place to live, and maintaining our agricultural heritage, and making it, again, a friendly place for everyone to do business, especially ag, which is really our economic base in this area. And I respectfully ask for your vote to re-elect Tom Dunlop in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlop. Kathy Morgan.
I just want to also thank the Chamber. This is a great opportunity, and that it's being televised in a way that the citizens can see it and reflect upon the words that have been spoken tonight is I think, equally as important. I respect what Tom had to say, and he has done a really good job on the council. We'd be served well if he was reelected. I too would like the opportunity to serve another 4 years to finish some of the things that were started and to bring prosperity back to Oakdale. I am not blind to see that this is going to be a long process, and I don't know if 4 years we're going to turn everything around. I hope that we definitely are headed the right direction. But I do believe experience is going to be essential to that taking place in Oakdale. And I just want you to know that, that one of my priorities will be to work towards regaining the financial security and stability that Oakdale has had in the past by promoting the exceptional qualities that this city has to offer to business, both existing and future, and to work together with the council in a very civil manner, because I do believe civility is key to success, and working with the citizens to overcome the obstacles that have been our stumbling blocks in the past. I really do love this community, and it's been an honor to serve. It will be an honor to serve once again if re-elected. I invite everyone in the community to voice their concerns and to be part of the solution. And working together is a very crucial part of making the changes that are necessary. I also believe that while we're in this great recession, that sacrificing our public safety is not an option. And integrity, honesty, civility, and genuine concern, and the spirit of cooperation and effective communication. And I ask for your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Ramona Howard.
Very little notes. This is an easy one. Your heart, something that's a place that's very special to you, that you have a connection to, that you've either vacationed to or I don't know, but think of that place and raise your hand if that place is Oakdale. Now everybody open their eyes. Keep your hands up. My goal is to make you believe in your town. If you believe in your town, it's going to go much more than if you don't believe in your town. Volunteerism, you know I was going to say it, is key. We won't have the dollars to spend on the staff, but as I look around the room, I see so many people that volunteer for so many things, and there's so many intelligent people that live here in our city. We all want this place to be successful. We all want to get past these problems, and you guys are the ones that are going to help make that happen. It can't be just the council. It can't be just the small staff we have. There's a lot of problems that have to be solved by a lot of people, and it's going to involve you guys. So my key thing is volunteer. Step up and do something small. And you know I do a lot. So I'd like to make a point that I wasn't able to get to is my goal is to move forward, not backwards. We don't want to go back to the same old way of doing things. We need to push forward, try some, and the key thing is we need to operate within our means. One thing I've learned recently, I got a great book from somebody, was a successful city is more than just the dollars and cents. It's more than whether the streets are paved or the potholes are filled. It's about how we feel do any more. And I just want to say that I appreciate everybody's support in electing me on city council. I'll do my best. I won't make any promises other than I'll work hard and I'll ask some tough questions. But it's up to you guys to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. And our last candidate, J.R. McCarty.
First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for inviting us all out here and all of you guys for coming out, for everyone watching. The problems of the city are not going to be solved overnight. There's no doubt about that. And one person is not going to fix all the problems. We have to have a working council, an agreeable council. And I believe that I'm part of that working and agreeable council if elected. Just like most of you and all those who are watching, I'm a fellow blue-collar working guy. I have worries, concerns, whether the lights are going to be paid, whether the mortgage is going to be made. I understand that. I'm here to listen to you guys. Something that I believe that's been lost in the last few years, you guys are our employers. We should stand up. You should stand up and you talk to us. Let us know how you're feeling. If elected, my office, my door will be open to anybody and everybody, so I can hear what you have to say. I'm asking for your vote November 6th for a new direction in Oakdale. Voting me brings a new direction to Oakdale. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Candidates, I'd like to thank you for your thoughtful opinions and insight. We'd also like to thank our audience here in the chamber and those of you at home. We're going to take a brief 10-minute break to identify with our NBC affiliates on the East Coast and around the world. And to change for the special election candidates. Thank you.
Good job, Kathy.
All right. Good job.
It's a friendly campaign. Hey, thanks.
Did we say anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's whatever is up there, not necessarily a telephone. Three guys walk into a bar. The first one says,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to take your seats, please.
Good luck to you. Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you at our television audience, we welcome you back to the second half of the Candidate Forum, brought to you by the Oakdale Chamber of Commerce. Two candidates in front of you are here for the office of a two-year term for one city council seat. On the left, Cher Barros, and on the right, Farrell Jackson. Opening statements for our candidates will be led off by Farrell Jackson.
Thank you.
And I'm supposing this is on here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Farrell Jackson. I've been a resident of Oakdale for almost 50 years. I married my childhood sweetheart, Gail. We've raised 2 wonderful children. They live here in Oakdale also. I have 2 wonderful grandchildren who I hope will live their lives in Oakdale. And this is, Oakdale's one of the great communities. You've heard it over and over and over. Just like me, Cheryl Ann, she loves Oakdale. We all love Oakdale. We want to do the best for Oakdale. Now, I am running for this 2-year seat, and I believe, since it is a 2-year seat, that experience is very, very important, because with a 2-year seat, you need to be able to hit the ground running. And you can ask anyone that's newly elected to office, it takes them a couple of years to really get their feet firmly planted on the ground. We need someone that can start helping out our city, start making good decisions that will better Oakdale. And I'm going to tell you that I have had 2 consecutive terms on the council. I've had 1 term as mayor. And you learn a lot during that time. And yeah, mistakes are made, but you learn from the mistakes and you don't repeat the mistakes. I'm here to work with the council. I can work with any configuration of the council. I can work with anyone on that council because I'm doing it for my town. And I just want Oakdale to rise up to that jewel of Stanislaus County that we once were. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Barros.
Good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. I want to first of all thank Mary and Chamber for putting this wonderful forum on. And of course, Mr. Jackson, which at one time he was my soccer coach when I was just about this tall, probably 34 years ago.
I was only 10.
Please join me in a moment of silence to honor the ones who helped us mold us today, who we are today. Please, just a brief moment of silence. My name is Cher Barrios, and I'm running for the 2-year city council seat here in Oakdale because I care about Oakdale, this wonderful place we all call our home. I am the least political person you have ever met. I am not running because I have an agenda. I am running because I know I can make a real difference on the council and help keep Oakdale moving forward. Some people might call me a novice, but I embrace that. If I'm elected to the council, I won't bring any baggage. On the contrary, I bring passion, renewed energy, and collaboration. I'll be your voice of the Oakdale working families, because that is who I am. I'm sure we can all agree that you can always hear my voice. Let me be your voice. My family came to Oakdale nearly 70 years ago. They came to Oakdale because it was the perfect place to start their business. With about 200 herd of cattle and a little bit of hard work, my great-grandparents met with Gilberts and a handshake. 70 years later, we're still going strong. Oakdale is a perfect place to start a business. I can show people that because I know firsthand how to attract these businesses to Oakdale and foster an environment for them to thrive. This experience doesn't come from having held an elective office. This experience comes from my own business, starting it from the ground up, working there every day because there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. As former soccer player and now a coach of 2 youth teams here in Oakdale, it is also taught.
Okay, we'll go to commercial then.
I was told.
For those of you that have just tuned in, we drew for order of questions, and our first question this evening for the candidates is, what direction would you like the city to take to attract new businesses? Ms. Barros.
The direction is forward. Attracting new businesses starts with having the right environment right here in our backyard. That means we have a city government that is responsive, safe neighborhoods where businesses won't get robbed or burglarized, and a council that works together to get stuff done for its businesses and our community. I will use my positive energy and experience as a small business owner to focus on helping Oakdale build the infrastructure that is needed to attract these new businesses, but that we still keep our small town charm that we all know and love. I will be proactive, reach out to these business owners who are thinking about or wanting to invest in our town. I will work to ensure their businesses don't encounter the red tape that often serve as a barrier to start their new business, as long as it fits the value of our town. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. The first thing that we need to do is we need to hire a permanent city manager. This town cannot move forward unless we do that. We need to have a city manager that's vested, and one that lives in town. If he lives in town, he goes to the grocery store and he's held accountable by the person, the customer, saying, hey, why did you do that? So we need somebody with a investment in this town. We need to market our South Industrial area. There's 450 acres out there. It's ready to go. We've had it ready to go for some time now. The economy has kind of slowed things down, but it's there, and we need to, when we get a bite or we have an inkling of somebody wanting to come to the city of Oakdale, it needs to become our #1 priority. We need to do everything that we can and land that company. We need to roll out the red carpet. We need to say, hey, what do you need from us? Okay, let's do it. Let's work together. We need to continue on working on annexing the retail area south of Stearns, and also the probability of a new college site there. That in itself will greatly enhance Oakdale and bring jobs. We need to push for that North County corridor. I know it's a long-term project, but it's something near and dear to my heart. I was one of the original members of the JPA representing Oakdale, and what that did, it brought us into a position where that we could talk as a unit and say, hey, maybe we can make this North County corridor a reality. So I was the spokesman for the team that went to Sacramento, that stood before Caltrans and asked for $91 million. And they gave that $91 million to us. I gave the presentation. If we didn't have that $91 million, there would be no North County corridor. So that's where experience really counts. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Your second question of the evening: on August 12th, 2012, the Wall Street Journal reported that small communities such as Sonora, California, had seen decreases in unemployment due to renewed timber interests. Given existing resources available in Oakdale, which industry would you pursue to increase local, non-cyclical employment? Please explain your course of action and where you would recommend such expansion be located. Start with Mr. Jackson.
First off, I'd like to say I wouldn't really turn away any business inquiries that were legal. We need to at least talk to them, no matter what that business is. Most of the ag businesses, I mean, we are an ag county. We are an ag valley. And so there's a lot of ag going on, and we need to embrace that. Most ag businesses now, they operate on a year-round basis. They're not cyclical. Maybe we need an ag equipment dealer. Maybe we need an almond processor. There's thousands of acres being built, put in out here. Trinitas, I think, is the name of the company. Well, they're going to have some place to process those almonds when they harvest them. It'll be a few years away, but you know what? We've got time. We need to look at bringing in maybe an almond processor. Sconza Candy Company, they only utilize about 1/3 of their building. Well, they have some brownfield problems, and we need to help Sconza. Maybe we can get them a grant to alleviate some of their brownfield problems, open up the other 2/3 of that building so that we can put in a couple of light industrial businesses out there. One that comes to mind is maybe a cheese company. I mean, the dairy business is lacking or struggling in this county. Why not let's put in a cheese factory and a cheese processor. We have this wastewater treatment plant that we put in, and it can handle that. I mean, it handled Hershey's before, but now we were mandated by the state to put it in. We've got a good wastewater treatment plant. Any large recreational related retailer would be a perfect fit on our east side because of all the traffic that we have going through this town. Somebody like Cabela's, that would be great. We need to capture the tourist dollars. Where? East, west, and south. That's where we need to do it. We've already got those lands annexed. We need diversification in small and large businesses so that we don't have all our eggs in one basket. And so when a company like Hershey's folds or moves out of town, it doesn't devastate the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barros.
We need to work with our local businesses such as ConAgra, Oakdale Hospital, and Ball that are here now. The city's job is to serve them and meet their needs. We need to do everything we possibly can to support them so their businesses survive and they keep creating jobs in our community. For many years, we had a good industry, a great industry. As a matter of fact, that industry was the Hershey. And I was one of the few that stayed until the last night. I actually ran the filler, the very last bottle of syrup that was made here in our Oakdale plant. It was really close to home, and I had my lunch made every day by my grandmother, so it was a great place to work. A lot of Hershey family. Saving these businesses from up and moving to other countries also starts with preventative measures, and that can come by way of lobbying for our small businesses in Sacramento, and we can do that with the help of our local chamber and other groups here in Oakdale. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our third question of the evening, a frequently heard statement is the City of Oakdale's fees, permits, and general entitlement requirements, coupled with those of Stanislaus County, discourage business development in Oakdale. Would you agree or disagree with this statement, and why? Cher Barros.
We can always do better to help cut the red tape for businesses. However, it is my understanding that the City of Oakdale just lowered their fees, which is great. But as I mentioned, we should always be engaging and communicating with businesses about how we can help them when they have an issue. We need to work with Stanislaus County to let them know how their rules and regulations are hurting our local businesses. We can find a balance where businesses get what they need, and so does the county. On a more macro level, I would work with our local chamber to address state laws that are business unfriendly or job killers. We need to lobby our state legislation to make sure they repeal any law that is not business friendly.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
I do agree, but it is much better now. Some of these fees that are imposed on local businesses and builders, they do not come from the city. They come from the county. They're school district fees. So those are things that aren't really in our control. I know that the city, we started reducing fees 4 years ago in our industrial area. What that did, that it works. It does. You reduce fees, they're gonna come and look at you and talk to you, and they're gonna build. A good example of that is Mid-Valley Foods. I set up a meeting, brought another council member along with me, and Mid-Valley was not real happy with our fee structure. So we sat down, got our community development director, and we had a meeting with the owners of Mid-Valley. Through discussion, conversation, understanding, we were able to reduce their fees by 50%. So you know what Mid-Valley did? They built here in Oakdale, and they're a thriving business, and they just got the Small Business Innovation Award for the state of California. So it works. Same thing happened with Golf Carts Unlimited. The county was giving them a hard time, set up a meeting, took another council member along with me with the county and said, hey, what's the problem? Let's talk, let's have a conversation. Come to find out, there was no problem, and the county backed off of trying to enforce some regulations on them. I want to commend the council for doing the reduction that they've done so far. It does work. It has stimulated some building, but you have to be careful not to give away the farm. And I'll give you a good example of that. The council, when they first started talking about this, they reduced fees, this community facility fees, on 18 homes. And that was $2,600 a home that was supposed to go for the payment on fire station number 2. That's $47,000 that is not going to go to this fire station payment. Luckily, they corrected that, they realized that, and everything's looking good right now. This is where experience on the council comes. I would have picked that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, our fourth question of the evening. 3 years ago, Oakdale's finances seemed to be in excellent shape, despite the fact we were in the second year of a deep recession. Now, in late 2012, the city cannot meet its financial obligations, recently having to make only a partial payment on its bond debt for the city's sewer system. What action will you take to restore Oakdale's strong financial position? Farrell Jackson.
I would do more jobs creation. Jobs, to me, is the crux of everything. You have to have a balance between housing, industrial, and jobs growth. You can have all the retail you want in the world, but if nobody has a job with money in their pocket, they're not going to be able to support the retail. So we need jobs. and balanced growth. I would better utilize the County Economic Development and Workforce Alliance. We need to let them know what we have available in the city, because when somebody comes looking, a business or an industry comes looking at Stanislaus County, one of the first places they go is the Alliance. And so we need to be able to let them know what Oakdale has so that they can put our best foot forward. Likewise, you've heard me talk about roll out the red carpet. We need to do that same thing for any business inquiry. On the sewer rate, I firmly believe we need to move to a flat rate system, because as it is now, we have a sewer rate that's a sewer fund that's unfunded or non-funded all to the max. What we need to do is go to a flat rate, because the current system we have, it's not working. It's not pulling in enough money, because the system is reliant on what the weather does in the months of December, January, February, March. And what that does, it gives you a cyclical amount of money coming in. One year it'll be good, the next year it'll be bad. And you can't plan, you can't pay your bills unless you know exactly how much money is coming in. To me, it's very simple. This wastewater treatment plant has been operating for 3 years. We know there's 7,000 accounts, and we know what the expense is. So I may be minimalizing it just a bit, but still, you take your expenses of what it takes to run it, and you divide it by 7,000 accounts. That's what you charge for your sewer rate. Then you don't have these exorbitant rates coming and increases coming in. Thank you.
Cher Barros.
First of all, I disagree with the rosy picture this question paints as to how things were 3 years ago. I believe it was 2008 when our city started to take a nosedive. Our reserves were dwindling, and now under the new leadership and improving economy, we are now seeing them to rise again. There were some really bad financial decisions made 3 years ago, like taking the Hershey off the tax rolls. Paid a lot of money for the Hershey building, more money to renovate it, and ended up being disastrous. We allowed our management to form a union. We're now living with the repercussions of this decision. But things are turning around, and if we elect the right city council this November, we can keep this momentum going forward. We need council that can work together to bring new businesses to Oakdale. We don't need a divided council or members on the council that have agendas or baggage. I have no agenda. I will pay attention to the needs of your businesses. I will ask the tough questions, make the tough decisions to better our business environment and better the lives of our Oakdale families. I wouldn't waste your or our hard-earned money on frivolous decisions. I'm ready to get to work, and I hope this November you will put me to work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We'll move to our fifth and final question at this time. Candidates, what is the last major purchase you made for which you paid sales tax? And tell us why you think shopping in Oakdale is important. We'll start with Cher Barros.
The last major purchase that I was a part of was at our well-known Steve Chevrolet. Got a phone call from my dad saying he was getting his El Camino. 1978 El Camino, I actually got to drive off the lot. Though it wasn't a new purchase, it was new to him. And anyway, that was his dream. He loves El Caminos. For me, the last major purchase was everything in Oakdale, from my furniture, my Raider bunk beds at Bardona's, my lawnmower at Kmart, my home from Sarah West there at Century 21, and my car at the Dodge Chrysler dealership. Everything I buy is local. My money stays local. That's the message and attitude we need to have towards our local businesses. Shopping in Oakdale keeps our tax dollars here. We have to help our businesses attract customers. So if that means putting a big sign where they need it to be, well, then we need to embrace that. 8 million cars come through Oakdale each year. We need them to see what we have to offer so that they can spend their money here with us. We need to make sure our business looks presentable, which entices customers and also attracts other businesses to come to Oakdale too.
Thank you, Farrell Jackson.
I buy the majority of everything that I buy in the city of Oakdale, okay, because I believe the Shop in Oakdale statement is one that everyone in town should embrace. My last major purchases, in the last 5 years, I've purchased 2 new cars. On an average, I spend about $200 a month at Ace Hardware. Now, I need to tell you that it was just my 40th anniversary. My wife and I just had our 40th anniversary. So I went down to Bardona's, and yesterday I bought her a new dishwasher. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I did buy a new dishwasher, but it wasn't for our 40th anniversary, and my wife is going to kill me. I believe the money spent locally, it circulates 7 times. It circulates in our town 7 times. What that means, it keeps people employed. It keeps businesses successful. It means people are spending their money locally, and they're creating sales tax dollars for the city of Oakdale. What those sales tax dollars do, they go into the general fund. What that general fund does, it supports public safety, our parks and rec. I mean, it supports a lot of stuff in Oakdale. All the services that our residents have come to expect, and they want them, so we're able to provide that. So it's very, very important that we do shop in Oakdale. I shop in Oakdale. Now I'm going to have to buy my wife something special for her 40th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move to your closing statements, and to remind you, you each have 3 minutes. We'll start off with Farrell Jackson.
As I said, I'm running for this 2-year term. I have spent considerable time in the city. You heard me say earlier that, yeah, I've made mistakes, but I think experience is very, very important. If you're out in rough seas, who do you want steering that ship? You want an experienced captain. Okay, I'm that experienced captain. I believe that we need to hire a permanent city manager, because the city manager helps set the direction of the town, and he follows that through with getting good people to work in his departments. We need to get this town back on track. I believe that we need to portray or put forth our best foot. We need to shine up our image. There's so many articles in the newspaper now that portray Oakdale as not the town that we really are. And I want to see us become that town once again. I've seen Oakdale at its high. I've seen $5 million in the general fund reserve. I was part of that council that put $5 million in that general fund reserve. And that didn't happen by accident. We made good decisions. We had an economy that hit. Nobody knew this economy was going to go on this long. The best economists didn't know. So what we had was a rainy day fund. We started spending that rainy day fund to keep our city afloat and maintain all the services. In 2008, we realized this economy is not turning around. So you know what? It's time to start cutting expenses. And that surprised a lot of people, because we were seeing our revenues decline and our expenses increase. We did the things that we needed to do, but we started planning for the future. That's why you see the area annexed to the west of town, you see the area annexed to East F Street corridor, and you see 450 acres annexed out here, because we were planning for the future. We know that this economy is going to turn sometime. We did not realize that we were falling into this hole of a great recession. And so it's going to take us a while to do that, but we are going to need somebody with experience that can start on the very next day after they're elected and start making those kind of decisions for the city of Oakdale, for the betterment of the town. I said I can work with anybody. I can work with any configuration of the council, and I mean that. I can, because what I'm doing is not for me personally. I'm doing it for my city. I'm doing it for the residents. I'm doing it for my grandkids. I want to see Oakdale the jewel that it once was. So on November 6th, I hope that you come out and you vote for Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you. Cher Barros.
So we've heard a lot of talk about experience and lots of promises that have been made. Experience doesn't only come from having held elective office. That experience also comes from owning your own business, from working on the dairy with your rubber boots and getting dirty, rain, sun, or shine. I know how to help businesses and how to help my city retain and attract those new businesses. People have had their time on this council, and they've done a lot. It's time for us to bring a new, fresh, energetic, and new ideas to this community of Oakdale. The decisions our council makes in the next few years will have a life-lasting impacts on our community. We need a council that can come together, help us get through these tough times, and that these tough times will come to an end soon. I am that neutral party that can bring everyone together. That's what I bring to you, Oakdale. I do it every day as a soccer coach, under 6s or under 10s. I teach them together, we're stronger. We win as a team, we lose as a team. And we are out there to have fun. Oakdale's, our kids and families, we deserve better. They are the ones we need to work hard for. They deserve an Oakdale that is safe, where they can raise a family of their own and start a business or find a job. And that in their future, their kids can raise a family here too. I'm here before you today, along with Mr. Jackson, to ask you for your support and hope that you share my vision for a brighter Oakdale. You ask yourself, what is more important, political experience or real-life experience that can relate with the average Oakdale citizen? I would be honored to have your support on November 6, 2012. Thank you very much, Oakdale, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, candidates. On behalf of the Oakdale Chamber of Commerce, we'd like to say thank you to all the candidates that participated this evening, those of you in the audience that joined us, and those of you at home. We remind you to vote Tuesday, November 6th. I'm Michael Loschke, and good night.